want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everyone, Nadav Hirsch with the JoBlo Movie Network here with a brand new tribute video. Today we look back at one of the biggest cult classics of all time, a scary gore fest that introduced the world to a truly inventive filmmaking talent. I'm of course talking about Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead, which celebrates its 35th anniversary this week. Welcome to the JoBlo Evil Dead tribute video. The Evil Dead tells the horrible tale of a group of 5 friends who venture into an isolated cabin in the woods. There, they uncover the Necronomicon, whose text reawakens the dead when spoken out loud.
Oh, God.
The friends accidentally unleash a horde of evil demons who begin to possess and destroy all of them, one by one. The Evil Dead was the brainchild of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, childhood best friends who had collaborated on numerous low-budget Super 8 films before working on Evil Dead. While most of these short films were comedies, Raimi became obsessed with horror films, and soon set his sights on directing one for himself. His plan was to shoot a short film first, which would attract investors, and allow him to raise the funds for a feature. Their prototype film, Within the Woods, was produced for $1,600, and brought on a fair amount of interest. But in order to reach the amount of money they needed, Raimi and Campbell ultimately resorted to asking for money from friends and family, and basically anyone who would listen. The pair ended up raising $90,000. Less than they originally wanted, but enough to get out there and start making their masterpiece. Campbell was cast as the film's hero, Ash, a character so badass that you forgot that his full name is Ashley.
Trees do not attack people.
Ashley!
To find additional actors for the film, Raimi put an ad in the Detroit News. Actress Betsy Baker responded to the ad and was cast as Linda.
I really love it.
The cast was rounded out by Ellen Sandweiss, Hal Delrich, and Sarah York. The crew for the film consisted mostly of Raimi's family and friends. The Evil Dead was shot on location in Morristown, Tennessee. Why Tennessee, you ask? Well, because it was the only state that expressed interest in the project. The cast and crew holed themselves up in an actual isolated cabin for the duration of production, but filming itself was beset with challenges. You could actually make a movie all about the comedy of errors that was this production. You name it, it probably happened, plus a whole bunch of stuff you probably wouldn't think of. On the first day of shooting, the crew got lost. Numerous cast and crew members were injured on the set, and because of the cabin's remoteness, there was little to no medical assistance. The film itself took several years to finish, forcing Raimi and other crew members to stand in when the real actors left to work on other projects. Crew stand-ins became so common that Raimi ended up listing numerous fake Shemps in the credits. This is a nod to the Three Stooges, who notoriously had other actors stand in for the character of Shemp after the real Shemp died while still under contract. Yeah, that was a thing. To accommodate Raimi's uniquely visual direction style, several elaborate low-budget rigs had to be built, since the crew could not afford real camera dollies. One trick involved mounting the camera to a piece of wood and having operators sprint around the swamp. Shots from the point of view of the unseen force were achieved by Raimi himself running through the woods with the makeshift rig, jumping over logs and stones. The crew also attached cameras to 2x4s. The 2x4s broke the window in front of the camera, creating the illusion of a spirit breaking into the cabin. Damn, that is genius. Raimi believed that to capture true pain and anguish from his actors, he had to abuse them a little. Raimi admitted to enjoying when an actor bleeds. If there is perhaps one thing that Evil Dead is known for above all else, it's the relentless use of gore. For the liquids spewed from the mouths of the possessed, Raimi elected to use a variety of liquid colors, including white, black, and even bright blue. He thought the censor boards would be more lenient on him if it wasn't bright red blood. However, the color of the liquid didn't matter to them as much as the fact that, there were bodily fluids spraying out of orifices. Upon completion of filming in 1980, Raimi set about editing a mountain of footage from production. Interesting fact, Joel Coen, of the Coen brothers, was actually hired as an assistant editor on the film, helping to edit a few key sequences, including the shed scene. Man, How cool would it have been to be in that edit room? After years of work, Raimi and Campbell finally premiered The Evil Dead under its original title, Book of the Dead, on October 15, 1981. The film premiered at the Redford Theater in Detroit and was met with tremendous critical acclaim. The film was so successful that Raimi decided to tour the film around the country, where it was picked up for distribution by Night of the Living Dead producer Irvin Shapiro. It was Shapiro's idea to change the name from Book of the Dead to Evil Dead, the least worst title they could think of. Under Shapiro's guidance, the film screened at numerous film festivals around the world, gaining a huge fan in horror maestro Stephen King. King was a champion of the film, claiming it to be one of his top 5 favorite horror films. The film was eventually picked up for domestic distribution by New Line Cinema, building up word of mouth through sneak previews across the country. Due to the film's graphic violence, Evil Dead was met with great controversy upon release. The ratings board slapped the film with an X rating, limiting its commercial prospects. While not a huge blockbuster at the box office with a gross of $2.5 million worldwide, it still made back over 8 times its production budget and was considered a sleeper hit. More importantly, The Evil Dead was a hit with fans of the genre, going on to achieve major cult status as one of the most influential films in the burgeoning independent film scene. Raimi and Campbell reunited in 1987 to create The Evil Dead 2, a sequel that managed to be both better and more successful than the already great original. They capped off the Evil Dead trilogy in 1993 with Army of Darkness. And by that point, Raimi had officially broken into the Hollywood film scene. So, how does The Evil Dead hold up 35 years later? It's a film that is unapologetically proud of its B-movie roots. A movie where cars don't start, no one can figure out how to use a key, and the guy in charge of the smoke machine was definitely working overtime. And that's absolutely a compliment. Raimi, Campbell, and company knew exactly what type of movie they wanted to make, and they did it to perfection. The special effects are super low budget, and the acting is campy as hell, but it's an absolute blast. And an amazing showcase for Raimi's skills as a filmmaker. Another key to the film's success? Bruce Campbell. Campbell is funny, vulnerable, and heroic in equal measure, and that chin is to die for. In the years since its release, Evil Dead has spawned an entire media empire. Numerous video game adaptations were produced along with a musical in 2003. In 2013, Raimi teamed up with first-time filmmaker Fede Alvarez to produce a remake of The Evil Dead. Ridiculously gory and played almost entirely straight, the film was a hit and helped open the floodgates for tons of new Evil Dead goodness, including the new Starz TV show, Ash vs. the Evil Dead, with Campbell revisiting the role of Ash. The Evil Dead franchise is a gift that keeps on giving for fans of extreme splatter films, and even now, 35 years later, The Evil Dead is still as fun and fresh as ever. So here's to you, Evil Dead. Happy anniversary.